Alexander, grandfather, had already been imprisoned, by the Russians the first time in the Patarei prison. And the doctor there, an Estonian, was able to, he would know ahead of time when the prison boats were coming in, the Siberia-bound boats. And so the doctor, whose name I don't know, was able on 2 occasions to, make him a patient and declare him too ill to be taken off to the Gulag. But then came a 3rd time, and apparently one of the prison staff was apparently a red-headed, dedicated communist woman, an Estonian, and she apparently started making remarks kind of like, well, sort of what's going on, like she had sort of all of a sudden noticed that he'd missed the prison boat a couple of times. And so on this occasion, and the doctor said, I can't do it again. And so apparently grandfather had been, there was a small primitive printing press in the Patarei prison, for what reason I don't know, and in those days, of course, they used lead type, which is nice and heavy, and so he dropped a box of lead type and broke his foot. So this time he was legitimately in the prison hospital. What happened is that a handful of them did escape from the prison when the Germans came in. So he already had some black marks against his name for sure, aside from his position, because of course that's the best thing. You cut off the intelligentsia and the professionals and get rid of any possible leaders. He was a publisher and a journalist and a politician, and he had for Estonia he had the largest newspaper and periodical industry, Vaba Maa. The whole declaration of independence too, he did. He was trying to find someone to print it up, and they couldn't find anybody to take the chance, and then finally he was able to use some of his own printers. Finally, it was decided that at least part of us, the family, should be sent off to Finland. And so my grandmother Stella, my mother Marka Kristina, my 2 brothers and I, we were told that there'll be a truck in an hour or so, and so my mother, because I asked her, years later, well, when you got this, that you have to have everything organized in half an hour, what did you take? And she she sort of laughed and she said, well, what do you think I took? I took children's clothes. I took your clothes. And I was about 15 months old at the time, so I was just a little parcel to take along. We were gathered together, got in the truck, and or were taken in the truck, and set off. And I believe there were 2 trucks, and set off, towards the water from Tallinn. When they had gotten a certain ways out of town, that they could hear in the distance, German soldiers, obviously quite drunk, marching along. And so the one truck, possibly there were 3 trucks, I'm not sure, but one drove into a ditch because it was full of young Estonian men, fodder for the front lines. And so my mother, who was indeed very charming and very beautiful, spoke beautiful German, of course, and charmed the officer. And why are you, obviously there were curfews, etc., that why are you out here? And, well, we're taking the children to the country where it's safer and that. And so and got the soldiers to push the one truck out. Oh, we had a little problem, pushed the truck out and that, and we set off. So we left as so many, in a small fishing boat. There was just a little tarpaulin on one section. And it was my brother Roland's, my older brother's birthday, his 8th birthday, on the 23rd of February, 1944. My grandfather and my father especially my grandfather, had remained behind to try to help other people, because he was one of these doers, organizers, and in fact left it so long that they almost didn't get out. But finally, and this was, I guess, in September then, in 44, he had made some, it helps if you've got a little gold in your pocket. He had made arrangements with a fisherman that he knew, that they were going across to Finland. And it turned out that at that stage then there was my grandfather Alexander, my father Rein, my father's sister, my aunt Asta, and her husband Raimond Pakkasar, who was always called Pakka, and their son Indrek, who's he's dead now, but he was approximately my age. And so the little fishing boat arrives, and it's only Patarei vee peal, eks ole. So there was the fisherman, his wife, their grown daughter, and a pig. And the boat was filled with preserves. I mean, they had the fisherman's wife had taken all kinds of glass jars of preserves and things like that. And there was also a roll of hand-woven linen that the daughter had woven to her dowry. So the boat is so low in the water that there's no hope, and so my grandfather apparently did the noble thing and said, I've had a very good life and a rich life. And that the younger people should leave. And but then finally, he also had, I gather, a very good sense of humor. Anyway, I guess enough gold changed hands, they managed to persuade the fisherman to dump the pig. And so to the end of his days, which wasn't that far along, apparently grandfather always used to say that, that day he really realized his true value. He was worth one pig.